Man, is there a treasure trove of news we got to talk about this week. Jedi Fallen Order has got its own update and its own franchise. Taika Waititi is getting a Star Wars film of his own, and a very familiar character is returning to the Star Wars universe this fall. The date is May 9th, 2020, and you're listening to episode 36 of the Star Wars Canon Podcast.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Star Wars Canon Podcast. I am your host, Brian Miller, and I'm so glad you've decided to join me to talk about our favorite thing in the world yet again this week, Star Wars. I hope y'all had a fantastic May the 4th. Hope you had an even better Revenge of the 5th, man. A lot of news came out this week. And since, we're not getting a celebration anytime soon, I really don't think it's going to happen in August. They did release quite a bit of stuff this year for us on May the 4th. As far as news goes, as far as announcements go, and we're going to talk about all that. But before we get into all that, there's a couple things I want to address with y'all real quick. Just a couple little house cleaning things. First, the Star Wars Canon Podcast is looking for a new co-host. I know, I've been doing this podcast for, I think 2 years now going just on the podcast itself. And I've had a co-host on and off, and whatnot. But I think the podcast thrives more when you actually have a co-host, somebody to bounce ideas off of, somebody to kind of give their point of view also. So right now I'm looking for a co-host for the Canon Podcast. If you're interested in applying, I guess you could say applying, like it's a job, like I can pay you, just shoot me an email at starwarscanonpodcast@gmail.com. Kind of let me know what you kind of have as far as equipment goes and whatnot, and we can kind of work around it if we need to. But guys, yeah, I'm looking for somebody to sit and talk Star Wars with, and it'll be a lot of fun. It really will. I really think it would be. Like I said, I can't pay anybody. I don't make any money on this at all. But it'll be fun to actually sit and talk to somebody about Star Wars, and to bounce some new ideas off of. The other thing I want to talk about real quick, last week I put out a video, last week or week before, I put out a video. It was the first look at the Star Wars Canon Podcast mobile app. The Star Wars Canon mobile app, I guess you could say. Really, really excited about this mobile app. For those of you who don't know, I've been working on this mobile app for over a year now to put all of the Canon material there is out there all into one massive place. So I've been working really hard on it, and like I said, I put out a first look video for it the other day, and I'm really, really happy with the way it's looking. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from you guys on it. But for those of you who have not seen that video and haven't heard about it for the first time yet, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what is going to be in this thing. You'll be able to listen to this podcast, the mobile version of it, in app. You'll be able to watch all the YouTube videos in app. So when I go live with a new episode like this, you guys will be able to sit and watch it in the app. You'll be able to send in questions for the Star Wars Canon podcast. There'll be several places, or there'll be a place in there where you can send in a question, but there'll be several other social media links. You'll be able to find the Facebook page. I think there's even going to be a link for the Patreon. So if you guys want to support the podcast in any way, you'll be able to get on there and do that as well. The entire Canon timeline is going to be on this mobile app. I kind of showed a little bit of what it looked like in that first look video. But the Canon timeline itself is going to be behind just a little, like a $1 paywall. So it's not even going to be anything real serious at all, to be honest. And I think it warrants it, honestly. And like I said earlier, I've got a lot of good feedback from you guys on this thing. Suggestions on how to make it look a little better, maybe some features you guys want on it. I will say this. I am taking every suggestion, I guess you could say. I'm taking every suggestion to heart. I'm taking all of them into consideration. Some of them I will not be able to do until after the app has been released. Some of them I'm going to add to it before I release it. There's going to be an upcoming Canon tab on there where you can check out everything that's going to be coming up in the next several weeks and even months. We're getting these announcements far enough out. But you'll be able to see all that on there. But I am taking all of these suggestions to heart, and I'm trying to figure out ways, because some of them are really great ideas. It's just where I'm at on the app right now, either it's something that it's going to have to come later on because it's going to take so long to put together, or I just don't have the ability available to me through my editor just yet. So those suggestions are being taken to heart, and I am looking at trying to make this thing even better than it already is. So thank you guys so much for all of the positive feedback on it. I'm like really excited. I'm not gonna lie, like I told Kirsty before I showed you guys, I was extremely nervous to show you guys the app a little bit, and I told her I even called her before I went live that night and was like, I'm really nervous about doing this. I'm terrified to kind of show what it is I've been working on for a while. And she told me she told me I had nothing to be embarrassed about or nervous about with this app. And the feedback I got from you guys, the comments I was reading on that video, man, absolutely awesome. I do appreciate the awesome feedback from you guys. I really do. So, yes, the mobile app's going to be coming out. I am going to say it is looking like it's going to be coming out in September. I hate to say it's going to be that far out, but I'm coming up on my wheat harvest period right now. We're actually getting ready for it at work right now. And I think it's going to be September before it gets out, before I have a chance to even work on it to get it finalized and get it out. Because, like I said, I'm going to be so busy. And the running joke right now is harvest is when they need me the most. So I'm not going to be able to even do the podcast for probably a month and a half. But every chance I get, I'm going to be working on it, trying to get it out as quickly as I can, because I'm really, really excited to get this out for you guys and to get it live. So that's the mobile app. I'm really, really excited about it. And again, thank you guys so much for the awesome feedback for that. And if you guys submitted a suggestion. If you guys commented with a suggestion, just know I did read it, and I am trying to figure out a way to get all of this stuff put together into one app for you guys. So thank you guys again for that very, very much. Guys, let's get into some news, man. Just so you guys know, before we get into all this show is going to be broken into two parts from now on. Because for me to sit here and to talk for an hour and a half, when I have an hour and a half show, it wreaks havoc on my throat. I don't get a chance to really get up and get a drink or, to take a break or anything. So there's going to be an intermission in the show from now on, in between Canon Spotlight and Mailbag Questions. So the first half of the show from now on will all be news and rumors and stuff like that, and Canon Spotlight. And then the second half of the show is where I will devote it all to you guys, what you guys want to talk about with Mailbag Questions, live chat, everything like that. So that just letting you guys know there's going to be a little 5-minute intermission in the middle here to get a break so I can get a break at least. So let's get on with some news, man. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of this came out on May 4th, May 5th, and a lot of this is exciting. Some people may look at it and go, who cares? I don't care. But, it's news. It's Star Wars. Let's get it out there, man. Let's talk about this stuff. So the first thing I wanted to talk about this week, Marvel and IDW are going to resume shipping their Star Wars comics on May 20th. They took a break from shipping their comics mainly because of the COVID-19 scare and all this other stuff going on. So Star Wars, Darth Vader, Bounty Hunters, they're all going to start running again. Star Wars Adventures is going to be running again. But when they take off again, they're going to be releasing 2 new titles with this. It'll be Dr. Aphra #1 and Star Wars Adventures, The Clone Wars Battle Tales. Now, these comics, the Aphra comic is picking up, I think it's right after The Empire Strikes Back, the same way kind of the Star Wars and Vader runs did. As far as Star Wars Adventures, The Clone Wars, I'm not entirely sure how they're going to go about this comic. I don't know if it's going to be adaptations of stories we've already seen in the series, or or whatnot. 'Cause even with some of the other stories they've told that happened during Clone Wars, they've kind of happened in between episodes, whatnot. Especially like one of the best IDW comics that's come out during Clone Wars. There was a Padme and Anakin story. And in it, there's this actress alien, I guess you could say, that is a stage, like she thinks she's on Star Wars Broadway. But Anakin's backstage and he puts on this costume and it looks just like Darth Vader. The helmet looks just like Darth Vader. He's got the cape, everything. So it was kind of a nice nod. But that was nowhere in the series, obviously. So it kind of makes me wonder if these are going to be adaptations of episodes we've seen, or if they're going to be fresh new Clone Wars stories that kind of take place in between the episodes, in between the story arcs and whatnot. So I'm really, really excited about, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm really excited about Star Wars Adventures Clone Wars, because right now, Kirsty and I are watching Clone Wars all the way through again. We just finished, what episode was it we just watched? I think we just watched A Friend in Need, which is the episode where Ahsoka comes back in contact with, what's his name? Bonteri? Yeah. And he kind of takes off in the escape pod at the end. So that's where we're at. So we're getting there. The next arc we're going to be watching is the box arc. And you guys all know what that one's about. I haven't said anything to Kirsty really about it, so I'm really excited to watch this one with her. But with Clone Wars, I'm really excited about Clone Wars. I love Clone Wars, man. And I haven't watched any of the new stuff yet. But if we're getting new Clone Wars stories in these comics, I'm very excited about it. As long as they can be told in a way that doesn't kind of... I don't know how I'm going to say this. I don't want to say take the limelight from the show, because it's not going to take the limelight from the show. But in a way where I hope they don't screw up any continuity anywhere or anything like that. Because IDW they've told some stories in their comics where they were really... There's one issue in particular. I don't remember what issue number it is. It takes place during The Last Jedi while Rey is on the island of Ahch-To. And Luke is basically teaching her a lesson that you never see in the movie. And you're like... Oh God, did that really happen? Because it's not even in the novel. So there's a couple times IDW has gone, hey, we're gonna add a little something in there. So I hope that they don't screw anything up, and I hope that they're really great stories. Even if there's some adaptations in there, I'll be all right with that. It'll be okay. So they are going to start shipping their stuff again. Now, Dr. Aphra #1 did release on May 4th digitally. So if you have Marvel Unlimited, or you want to go check out the digital version of it, it did release. I haven't read it yet because I'm more of a hard copy guy. It's more, I'd rather have the comic book in my hand reading, and rather than just see it digitally. But I know there's some people that read their comics digitally. It is released already. It released on May 4th. So if you guys want to read it, go over and check it out. I'm going to wait until I can get my hard copy on my pull file. But the comics are going to start releasing again on May 20th. So I've been saving a little bit of money, not having to go pick them up every month, but that's over. So here we go. That's the comics are coming back. The next thing I wanted to talk about is something that I don't think a lot of people are really going to care about. And at first I didn't think I was going to until I started reading up on it a little bit. There's a reference book, I guess you could call it, reference material book coming out. This, I'm trying to think, I think it's October 10th is when it comes out. But it's called the Lightsaber Collection. Now, I know this isn't stories or anything that's canon, and usually I'm not big on reference material, the visual guides and stuff like that. I'm not usually big on them. But I think I'm going to have to pick this one up. And it's so simple. It's just pictures of lightsabers, you know, a little bit of a story on them, you know, kind of showing you the details of them and whatnot. For somebody who collects lightsabers, me, this is an awesome thing. I absolutely love lightsabers. It's my thing. So this is supposed to be coming out on October 10th, and it's called Star Wars Lightsaber Collection. And from some of the windows that I looked at online, and they said that the design's not final, and maybe even the info's not final, but some of the stuff I read, they even had Asajj Ventress's lightsabers in there. I mean, lightsabers from the films, from the comics, from TV shows, from animation, like all this other stuff, all these other lightsabers added in there. So I'm really excited about this thing. And like I said, I'm not usually big on reference material, but this is one I think I'm going to have to get and keep somewhere. Just so that, I mean, because like I said, I'm collecting lightsabers and I love lightsabers. And I even told Kirsty, like, you know, there's different companies out there for lightsabers. You can get custom sabers. There's like Ultra Sabers. There's Vader's Vault. There's all these other websites where you can get lightsabers. And some of them have ugly lightsabers. Some of them have incredibly ugly hilts that are just horrible to look at. But I told her, even the ugly ones, I want to get those, because it's gonna be like having a collection of lightsabers that you've just found somewhere and putting them on the wall. And I'd love to have this book to go with it to kind of get some info on them and stuff and whatnot, especially if it's got Asajj Ventress's lightsabers in it. And the picture I saw even it looked almost like a live action version of her. So it might be an interesting book to pick up, guys. You know, and I know there's some people that have really, excuse my language, really get a hard on for reference stuff. I'm not one of them, but I'm really looking forward to this. And maybe you guys aren't. I don't know. But that's coming out on October 10th. Some of the big news, though, that came out of May 4th, and this, I don't want to say this is the biggest story, but this is definitely one of the biggest stories. And we've kind of heard rumors about this for a little while. And it's been confirmed now. So Lucasfilm has confirmed that Taika Waititi is going to co-write and direct an upcoming Star Wars film. He's going to be co-writing this with Krysty Wilson-Cairns, I think is how you say her name. I don't know a lot about her, to be completely honest. I don't really know what her repertoire has or what her resume has got in it. But they have confirmed that he is going to be doing a Star Wars film. Now, he did do, I think, 1 or 2 episodes of Mandalorian, and he was the voice of IG-11 in the show, for those of you that didn't know. And I'm looking forward to this. This is great. This is what, I mean, look, Lucasfilm, no, I shouldn't say Lucasfilm, Disney has a pretty good track record, I guess you could say, of hiring talent. And you know, say what you will about Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams. Gareth Edwards did an amazing job with Rogue One. He really did. Now, they did kind of drop the ball when it came to Solo, and I'll admit that with the Miller brothers and having Ron Howard come in, I think they learned from all of those mistakes. And the fact that they're bringing in somebody like Taika to do a film, awesome. Now, I want to say this. I think this needs to be said with it. I did enjoy Thor Ragnarok. I know that was one of the last big films that he did. I did enjoy Thor Ragnarok, but I did not think that it was a great... How do I want to say this? I think what he did was try to reinvent Thor in a way that was more comedic, and to me, I don't think it landed right. I'm not saying I didn't like the film, but as far as directing goes, he did an amazing job on that movie, and he did an amazing job in The Mandalorian, and I'm really, really glad that they're finally giving him his first live-action film in the franchise. I do wish to God, though, that it was Dave Filoni getting it instead of Taika Waititi. Now, I'm still happy with Taika getting it. No, I got nothing else bad to say about it. But it would have been nice to get an announcement alongside that said Dave Filoni was going to be working on as well. As far as when this film is going to be coming out, there is a Star Wars film on their slate for 2022, which is, I think, the same year Thor: Love and Thunder is supposed to be coming out, which he's also working on for Marvel. I don't know if that's the one that he's going to be working on, and it's way too late to be talking about the one for... I don't know. We're not getting one in 2021, are we? I'm thinking 2022. 2022 is the first year we're supposed to be getting one. 2023, maybe. That seems a little more believable, but to be completely honest, 2024 is probably going to be our best bet. We know there are films slated for these other, and we know there's other filmmakers that are still working on their other films and whatnot. And you know we're going to be getting some High Republic films at some point. You know that's going to happen. So as far as when this film is coming out, I'm not entirely sure. We'll just have to keep our eye on the news and kind of wait and see what comes along. And don't expect anything else out of this announcement for quite a while. I really wouldn't expect anything for at least a year or two before you get anything else out of this. So, but take it as you will. Taika Waititi is doing a Star Wars film, and I do want to apologize to him on behalf of the fan base right now, because I know no matter what he does, no matter how good his movie is, there's going to be fans out there that just rip him no matter what he does. So it's going to be a lose-lose. I want to apologize to him on behalf of the fans already. Moving on, man, this next announcement's one that's got me excited because I have yet to see this bit of canon material because I did not own a VR headset for Oculus, and I'm really, really excited about this. Vader Immortal is coming to PlayStation VR this summer. It's going to have all 3 episodes in it at launch. I'm very, very excited about this. Now, Vader Immortal is a story, for those of you that don't know, because it's not one of those well-known pieces of canon material. It's one of those where if you just had certain equipment, handy or readily available to you, you were the lucky ones that got to play this. I've watched a little bit of gameplay on YouTube from this, but not a lot. I don't have any. I think I watched the first 10 minutes of it, to be honest. Basically what I know about this is it takes place between episodes 3 and 4, and Vader's it's after Vader has his castle built, and I guess he's trying to resurrect Padme. And there's this whole story behind it. I guess you play as a smuggler with your droid, and you kind of get captured by Vader on Mustafar in his castle, and that's what you get to play as. I'm so looking forward to this. I cannot wait for this to come out on PSVR. That's way, way, way more affordable than an Oculus for me. I'm so damn excited for this. I'm gonna sit and just buzz through this thing. I'm gonna love the crap out of it. I've never once in my life played a VR game. I've never once played a VR game. So this will be my first go at it, I guess you could say, and I'm really looking forward to it. Let me know, guys, because I know it's canon, and my track record with broadcasting gameplay is not great. For those of you who watched my Fallen Order videos, you'll know that I never finished the game for my playthrough. Let me know if you guys want to see this, because Kirsty has already said, yeah, that'd be cool to sit and watch the screen what you're seeing and see me in the living room acting like an idiot swinging these sticks around. So if you guys want me to broadcast that, let me know. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to this. And look, everybody had questions in episode 9 why Mustafar had trees and other stuff going on in episode 9. And this is the story that kind of explains that a little bit and kind of explains why life is starting to thrive on the planet again and whatnot. So I'm really looking forward to playing this, seeing some great Vader action, coming face to face with Vader. Please tell me that's happening in this. It has to, right? So I'm really looking forward to it. And I've heard nothing but great things about it. And it's one of those things, I'm so glad that they are releasing it to a wider audience now, more readily available for people. So absolutely great. Can't wait. Awesome, man. The next thing I wanted to talk about, Peyton Reed and Robert Rodriguez have both been confirmed as directors for season 2 of The Mandalorian. This is awesome news. I was just talking about Taika Waititi, how he's such, great talent being added to the Star Wars universe. Both of these directors are absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. For those of you that don't know, Peyton Reed is really popular right now for Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Robert Rodriguez has directed things like Alita Battle Angel, Sin City, and then he's also responsible for the From Dusk Till Dawn films and the television series. So he's had a lot of experience with television, with film, and whatnot, and he knows how to make a dark film. So I'm really excited about both of these guys doing Mandalorian episodes for season 2. And keep in mind also that Robert Rodriguez has a history with Rosario Dawson from Sin City. So is there a possibility maybe she worked with him as Ahsoka in one of these episodes. I don't know. It's probably a stretch, but still, it's one of those things where you have to sit back and go, they have a history together. You know, they've worked together before. They love working with each other. Let's see what, you know, what he did with this show. And I'm really excited about it, you know. And you know, we talked a while back about the episode titles, the chapter titles, and I'm not entirely sure if those are real or not, but if they are, awesome. I think we already know where Ahsoka's going to pop up. And you know, now they've also got this, as far as Mandalorian goes, they've also got these documentaries, this docu-series on Disney Plus now of how they've made the show and all this stuff. I watched the first episode, watched the first half of the second episode, and after watching that episode of directing and talking to all the directors of the show and you know, hearing Dave Filoni talk about how he met George Lucas for the first time and kind of the story behind it, and how he even got the call about Clone Wars and he thought it was a joke the whole time. He thought his coworkers were just screwing with him. Everything about Dave Filoni being a part of Star Wars has me excited. And I absolutely love the fact that they've got him on The Mandalorian. And I'm one of those people that says he should be in charge of everything narratively going forward. The man knows how to tell a story. He knows how to craft characters in a way that you actually care about them. Because remember when Clone Wars first came out and Ahsoka was introduced to us? Everybody, myself included, I despised Ahsoka more than anybody else in Star Wars at the time. I hated Ahsoka more. Just, Jesus, God, kill her. That's all I couldn't stand her. And over the years, as Clone Wars has progressed and she grew in the show, and then with Rebels and how she evolved even more in that show, and you know, the novel talking about how she grew up after the Order 66 and where she got to, all of this stuff, Ahsoka is bar none one of my favorite characters of all time. I still hate her at the beginning. When Kirsty and I started watching Clone Wars again, and I saw Ahsoka again calling Anakin Sky Guy, and I just still cringeworthy. But knowing where she ends up and you know how she evolves and how she grows as a character really resonates with me personally, and that's a lot to do with Dave Filoni. Yeah, that's a lot of it. And you know, even with Resistance, which I've only watched the first season of Resistance, I think I'm waiting for it to come out on DVD first to watch the second half. I know it's on Disney Plus, but for some reason, none of my devices want to play Disney Plus all that great. My PlayStation just freezes up once in a while, and it's just a pain in the ass to actually watch Disney Plus in my house now. So even with Resistance, that was a show that kind of got cut short, and it was supposed to be more than what it actually was. And they ended up cutting a season off of it, which sucks, man. I really wish that show had gotten a chance. And I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody or saying it's anybody's fault in particular, but it didn't get a chance. Fans just, no, this show sucks, move on. And I think had it been given a chance, I think Dave Filoni would have just made that show fly. So I'm really excited about him just being a part of all of this. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's crazy. And the fact that he is finding these directors that have already cut their teeth on some other projects and who have proven themselves not only to studios but to fans also, and that's awesome, you know. So I'm really looking forward to this next season of Mandalorian and seeing these episodes from these directors. I can't wait, man. It's going to be absolutely great. The next thing I wanted to talk about, and this is something that maybe some people just don't care about. Maybe some will. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out here in a minute. Jedi Fallen Order has finally gotten its first DLC update. And guys, I got to tell you, this game, I'm used to this game screwing me over. And I say that because it's completely screwed me over. Every single time I drop this game in my PlayStation, something happens where I just have the worst luck in the world with this game. When I started doing my playthrough of this for the channel, I did the first 2 episodes of the videos of the playthrough, and then I lost all of my progress and had to go all the way back and start it over just to get back to where I was so that I could do episode 3 again. And then I did episode 3. Then I went on to do episode 4 just to find out that 4 never recorded. And that I had this huge, and in order to get back to where I was to start episode 4, I had to start the game all over again. So I said, screw it, I'm not doing my playthrough anymore. I got really salty about it. This game just likes to kick me while I'm down, because I found out this update was coming. I got excited about it. It adds, challenge maps and new skins for BD1 and new ponchos. And you can play as Inquisitor Cal. How cool is that? And it's got New Journey Plus. That's what everybody wanted, right? And I got so excited, went on there to start my New Journey Plus with all these skins and everything carrying over, just to find out my save file was corrupted. And I had to start the game all over from scratch. So right now it's paused on my TV in there because I was playing it this afternoon, trying to get back up to where I can do New Journey Plus. And I don't know what it is about this game. It's a great game, but I have horrible luck with the save files with it. I don't know what it is. This update's added, like I said, challenge maps and BD1 skins, New Journey Plus. And I'm really excited to see how they did New Journey Plus, considering I don't know what all carries over with it. If your force powers carry over, I'm kind of curious as to how that works, because the game itself is based off of you kind of growing in the force and relearning these abilities as you go as Cal Kestis. So I'm curious to see how this goes if you can carry over your force powers. If you don't carry over your force powers, it makes a lot more sense to me. But if you can carry over all your lightsaber cosmetics and your skins and everything like that, totally makes sense. So definitely going to be checking out what's going on with this update. If I can ever I just landed on Dathomir, and I think I've done everything up to I pushed Dathomir off as long as I could. So I'm like halfway through the game. I get done with Dathomir and I'm going to Ilum. So it's one of those things where I guess I'll let you guys know when I get to it what I think of this update and whatnot. But I'm hoping that this is just the first of several updates. And I'm anxious to get my hands on some of these battle maps and these challenge maps and see how they go. Because from what I've been told, it's got a little bit of a feeling like the Arkham challenge maps. And I love the Arkham series. So if it's anything like that, I'm on board with it. I can't wait. But I just have to get back to where I was and hope to God that when I get to the end of the game again, it doesn't erase all of my progress again and I have to start all over again. It seems to happen every time. And I've never had this problem with any other game before. I've never had this problem with any other game. I had no problem streaming Spider-Man PS4. I had no problem streaming Battlefront. And for some reason, this is the one that just gives me the headache all the time. So I guess we'll see when I get to it, but it does have the update now. And when the update dropped, I didn't even know if I had it. I kept looking at it, I'm like, there's nothing on here about it whatsoever. And when I went to try to continue, it just said new game. Oh, you got to be kidding me. So we'll get there, hopefully someday. So speaking of video games, also, there's another bit of news. This is another one of those things where I don't think anybody's really going to care about it a whole lot. I do, because I'm a gamer. I like and especially what this game is. This is a game I think we talked about on the last episode. Somebody was asking a question about it. Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. Yes, I know that it's not technically canon. It's based loosely off of canon. I get that. But there are people out there that really care about these games, myself included. These Lego games are absolutely awesome. This game got pushed back. I think it was supposed to come out in May originally. And they pushed it back indefinitely. They didn't even know when it was going to be coming out. If you looked at the PlayStation Store, it was saying that it was going to be December 31st of 2020. And I was like, Jesus Christ, you got to wait that long for it now. But now we know that the release date for this game is going to be October 20th. And guys, I don't care what you think of Lego games. I'm getting this thing and I'm going to buzz through it so damn fast. I love the Star Wars Lego games. When I got Star Wars The Force Awakens, the Lego version of it, I 100%ed it in like 2 weeks. I had everything. I couldn't stop. I bought all the DLC character packs for it. Like I couldn't stop playing it. And this one is supposed to be the biggest Lego game they've ever created. 500 playable characters. Like, it's just, you've got to be shitting me. This is going to be absolutely great. Now, this does not include Rogue One or Solo, which for a lot of people is probably a good thing. And maybe it'll be DLC at some point. I doubt it. It's just the Skywalker Saga. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I've had so much fun playing Star Wars Lego. Matter of fact, there's one story in canon that I despise as a comic book, and that story is in the Force Awakens Lego game, and it's so great the way they did it. The story of 3PO getting his red arm was told in a one-shot comic called C-3PO the Phantom Limb. And the story was okay, but I don't think it warranted its own comic book. But it's the way they told that story as its own level in Lego The Force Awakens was absolutely great. It was hilarious. I laughed my ass off playing it. And like I said, Lego games hit differently for different people. Like I said, a lot of people aren't probably going to even care about this. I'm one of those people that's like, God, yes, I can't wait. I've played almost every Lego game to date. And I just, for some reason, I can't stop. Lego is that one thing that carried over from when I was a kid that I just can't grow out of for some reason. And just, I found out last week that there's a fan-made Bionicle game coming out. You guys remember Bionicle? And I'm losing my mind over this RPG. It's just, it looks incredible. And it's all based off of Lego. Like, I cannot wait for it. And this game, look, like I said, a lot of people don't probably care about it. I cannot wait for this game. I cannot wait. It's not going to add anything new to canon. It's not going to change canon or anything. But just the fact that it's coming out excites the crap out of me, man. I can't wait. I really can't. So if you guys don't care about it, that's cool. I do, man. This game's going to be great. I was going to do this next story next, but I'm going to do it last because it's the bigger news. Let's get this other little one out of the way real quick. We've talked a little bit about the novel Poe Dameron Freefall coming out here before long. And it does finally have a release date of August 4th, and we have the cover for it now. This novel is, I hope it does what... Look, I hope this novel fixes one of the plot holes that they have in canon right now. Because, I mean, there's this huge gaping plot hole right now as far as Poe Dameron goes. That I think they tried to fix as far as the novel is concerned for Rise of Skywalker. But I don't think it's good enough. In the film, right, when you're watching Rise of Skywalker, when they come across Zori Bliss on Kijimi, and she makes the comment that he was a spice runner before he left to join the Resistance. We know from other canon material that he didn't join just the Resistance. He joined the New Republic Navy first, and then Leia recruited him from there to the Resistance. In the novel for Rise of Skywalker, they kind of changed it a little bit, and instead of saying that he left to go fight with the Resistance, it says he left to go fight for the cause. That could be loosely interpreted as either. I get that. But they did make it a point to alter that line of dialogue a little bit. And I think it was honestly, I think it's one of those retcons where after the movie came out, everybody started talking about he didn't join the New Republic. He didn't join the Resistance. He joined the New Republic. And I think Lucasfilm went, shit, how'd we miss that? Are you kidding me? We've got to, and they altered that in the novel. I'm hoping that this novel fixes that, and I'm hoping that it actually tells the story in a way where he actually joins the New Republic first. Because even if you look at Before the Awakening, the little 3-hour reader, it had a story of Poe, a story of Finn, and a story of Rey in it. That's the story where Leia recruits him, and it's one of those things where it's kind of a glaring problem, I guess you could say, as far as his backstory, and the fact that they even made him a spice runner at all kind of sucks as far as I'm concerned. But it's one of those things. I hope they played off in a way. I shouldn't say played off. I hope they correct it in a way to where it actually flows better and actually kind of fixes a couple of things. So that is Poe Dameron Freefall is set for release on August 4th. The big news, though, that came out in the last few days, and this is the one everybody's talking about, and we'll probably talk about it here for a few minutes. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Boba Fett is set to release, or is set to appear in season 2 of The Mandalorian. This is one of those things that I think we all kind of knew that it was going to happen eventually. You have a show called The Mandalorian, and you have this gaping, open-ended question of whether or not Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc pit. And, you know, we've had some hints that he survived it and whatnot in the novels. And then, you know, you think about the first season of Mandalorian, we had that little tease. I think it was in chapter 5 of The Mandalorian season 1. That little tease of a bounty hunter at the end walking up to this dead target's body, right? And one of the things that cameo was never answered. And it's one of those things that a lot of people have debated about. Me and Kirsty talk about it all the time. And I think Kirsty's even talked to Richard J about it a little bit. everybody was assuming that it was going to be Boba Fett, right? And it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, he doesn't have his armor, so it's not going to look like Boba Fett armor. But I kept saying, what if it's Cad Bane? What if Cad Bane? Dave Filoni's he's the one that's in charge of the show. Him and Jon Favreau are in charge of the show. Why wouldn't he bring Cad Bane into it? Hell, we saw the Darksaber at the end of season 1, which was a Filoni thing. Why not see Cad Bane at some point? And I kept hoping, and I kept telling everybody, it's probably going to be Boba Fett, but I'm hoping that it's Cad Bane. Is the way I was telling everybody, and it's probably going to be Boba Fett. The cool thing is they're getting Temuera Morrison back to play him. For those of you that don't know, he played Jango Fett in the prequels, so it makes complete sense that Temuera would be there to be Boba Fett, and we're probably going to see him unmasked completely. To be completely honest, for those of you that don't know, he's the reason he doesn't have his armor. There's in the Aftermath trilogy of novels, I don't remember which one. I think there was one chapter in each book that kind of told this story. They were called interludes. And they were telling stories that were happening somewhere else in the galaxy. In one story in particular, this guy is a sheriff of a town on Tatooine, and he finds this gutted Sarlacc and this Mandalorian armor. He gets the Mandalorian armor from Jawas that found it outside of a Sarlacc. And he takes the armor, and that's his new sheriff armor. And they never explicitly say it's Boba Fett's armor, but you're heavily led to believe that it is, right? A lot of context clues saying what it is, whatnot. So we know that he doesn't have his armor. I would love to see Boba Fett pop up in this sans the armor. I love that idea. I absolutely adore that idea. Or even if he has other armor, like, because we saw Boba Fett with different armor in Clone Wars when he was younger, before he started wearing the Mandalorian stuff. But it makes total sense that they're going to have Boba Fett in this next season. And they've also said there's going to be a lot of other cameos. They said be ready for other cameos, other legacy characters. So does that mean we're going to see a Luke Skywalker, a Han Solo, a Princess Leia somewhere? It's possible. I don't think we need to, but it's possible. Boba Fett, it makes sense. On Tatooine, it's the show called The Mandalorian. It makes all the sense in the world. So, it just makes all the sense in the world. And I just... like I said, it makes total sense. I still wish it would have been Cad Bane. I still think it would have made more sense. Of course, I don't know the whole story yet either. I don't know exactly everything that is going to be leading up to, or, what is going to be going on in season 2 or anything like that. So I can't sit here and say it makes more sense for Cad Bane to be in it, but I would have loved to see Cad Bane. But as of right now, Temuera Morrison is set to reprise his role of... I shouldn't say reprise his role of Boba Fett. He's never played Boba Fett. He voiced him. But he's set to reprise his role as a Fett, playing a new version of a Fett of Boba Fett. So very, very excited about that. And like I said, that was the big news that came out of everything as far as I'm concerned. I'm so excited about seeing these characters pop up in The Mandalorian. And I think season 2 of Mandalorian is going to really surprise a lot of people. I think the first season, I don't want to say played it safe, because it didn't play it safe. It told its own story. It was its own thing. It knew what it was going to be, and it ran with it. I think now that season 1 is out and it's received such great feedback, expect to see a lot more in season 2. Expect to see it evolve or even go bigger. You know what I mean? I really think it's going to. So cannot wait for season 2. And it's supposed to be debuting in October as well. So we've got a lot of stuff coming out. Once fall hits, we've got a lot of Star Wars material coming out. It's going to be crazy, man. I can't wait to try my best to keep up on all this at all. I can't wait. So that's going to do it for the news, guys. Let's move on to Canon Spotlight. Now, Canon Spotlight is a little segment that I started a few episodes ago where I sit and I choose one piece of canon material and kind of do a retro review on it, I guess you could say. I guess that's what you could call it. And I've decided to go back and actually start at the beginning of the timeline and just work our way through it. Story arc by story arc, novel by novel, whatnot. So last episode we did Dooku Jedi Lost. This episode we are going to be talking about Claudia Gray's Master and Apprentice. This is, I think, the 4th novel that Claudia Gray has written in the new canon, in the new Star Wars canon. This novel, the title Master and Apprentice, started as a short story in the 40 short stories from a certain point of view, the 40 years of Star Wars, by the same title. Claudia Gray wrote that one as well. That short story was an Obi-Wan Qui-Gon story that took place during A New Hope. How, you might ask? That's weird. The story, from a certain point of view, took place while Luke was going to basically find the bodies of his aunt and uncle. And while he was gone, Obi-Wan had this visit by Qui-Gon. And it kind of went through the process of how the Force ghosts kind of materialize and kind of the process of them coming back from the Force and kind of into their own individuality again to visit with somebody. It was a great story, and it was a great set of dialogue between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, especially because we all know how, Obi-Wan's story ended in A New Hope. We know he gets struck down. Qui-Gon knew that was coming. He knew Obi-Wan's time was coming, but he didn't say anything to Obi-Wan about it. And, he was talking about Luke and all this other stuff. It was absolutely, it was a great little story. The dialogue was great. Their relationship was great. You can tell it wasn't the first time that they had talked since he went into exile. You could tell it wasn't the first time. But it was just great to sit and actually read, that story. So 3 months later, when they come out and say that Claudia Gray is writing a full novel called Master and Apprentice, and it's a Qui-Gon Obi-Wan novel, I got so excited. I could not wait for this novel. Absolutely. It's one of those, God, I was so ready for it. And then to find out, which it obviously makes sense, that it was going to take place before Phantom Menace, and that it was going to be Obi-Wan when he was a little bit younger. Great. Awesome. Absolutely great. This novel was a lot of fun to read. For me personally, it was kind of slow for the first third, and then it really picked up. It really, really took off. And out of all of Claudia Gray's novels, I want to say this is my least favorite, but that's not a bad thing because everything she's ever written was gold. So it's still good. Don't take that as I don't think it's a great book. It's an amazing book, but it's just my least favorite that she's written. Lost Stars is still my number 1. Bloodline is still number 2. Leia is number 3, and then this is number 4. Which she is also slated to do some of the High Republic stuff later on this summer as well, so you have that to look forward to. But Master and Apprentice picks up, it's about 7 years before Phantom Menace. I think it's just a couple of years after Qui-Gon chose Obi-Wan as an apprentice. And Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are two very different types of Jedi, and you can see that in the films as well. This isn't a spoiler. This is all in the first 2 chapters of the book. And you can tell that they don't really match very well as far as Jedi. Because, Qui-Gon is more of the living force. He's the Jedi counselor. If you want to use titles, he's more of a Jedi counselor, right? Obi-Wan is more of a Jedi guardian, and he's more of the I don't want to say aggressive, but he's more of, let the lightsaber do the talking kind of Jedi, when he's younger. And more of the physical aspect of it. And these two clash a lot, especially with Qui-Gon really delving into the Jedi prophecies and stuff, which we know he did from Phantom Menace, right? Because he knew the prophecy of the Chosen One. And that's something that Obi-Wan just doesn't give two banthas about. He doesn't care. And so they're about 2 years into their apprenticeship together, and Qui-Gon's having problems with relating to Obi-Wan and vice versa. And the Jedi Council's aware of this, and they offer Qui-Gon a seat on the Jedi Council, which would kind of solve 2 birds with 1 stone. It would put Qui-Gon on the council, but at the same time, if you're on the council, you can't have an apprentice. So Obi-Wan would be transferred to somebody else. So it was kind of their way of trying to separate them without really hurting anybody's feelings or stepping on any toes. And they offer Qui-Gon this position, and he doesn't tell Obi-Wan about it. And they're getting ready to send Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan on this mission. And they're talking to, I think they're at the Chancellor's office, if I'm not mistaken. They're at the Chancellor Valorum's office. And somebody says something about Qui-Gon's offer to be on the Jedi Council. And he never told Obi-Wan. So Obi-Wan takes that as, what? Like, you never told me about that? So it's this point of contention between them throughout the rest of the book when they go on this mission. And the rest of the book is really them growing together and kind of learning how each other works a lot. And this seems to be the mission that kind of brought them together, So it's a really fun novel to read. It's a lot of fun to kind of see that dynamic of those two together, and to kind of see how their relationship grows. I'm not going to tell you anything else as far as story points go for the book, but Dooku is mentioned a couple of times because we know Dooku was Qui-Gon's master, and at this point Dooku's already left the Order. But another one of Dooku's apprentices is in this novel as well, and him and Qui-Gon don't always see eye to eye, but they're all on this mission together. So definitely go check this one out, guys. Like I said, Claudia Gray is an amazing author. She is an absolute amazing author. I'm gonna try. I've been trying for the last 2 years to get an interview with her on this show, and I would love to have her on. Oh my God, I would love to have her on. Everything she's ever touched turns to gold. And like I said, just because this is her weakest novel doesn't mean it's bad, because everything else was so good. So definitely go check out Master and Apprentice. It's a lot of fun to read. And honestly, if you really want a gut punch, go get this book, because it's when you watch episode 1 now and you see the relationship and how well they actually work together, it's even more gut-wrenching now when Qui-Gon dies in Phantom Menace. So definitely go check this one out. You guys are really going to enjoy it quite a bit. I promise you, it is definitely worth the pickup. So that's going to do it for Canon Spotlight, guys. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'll be back in about 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to go grab something to drink because my throat is starting to get scratchy. I'm glad I decided to do this intermission thing. I will be right back, and we're going to be getting into mailbag questions. So guys, sit tight, and I'll be right back.
This is John Jackson Miller, and you're listening to the Star Wars Canon Podcast. May the Force be with you.
All right, guys, I'm back. Thank you so much for being patient, man. I really had to go get something to drink. This is the second half of the show, man. This is where we're going to get into what you guys want to talk about. This is Mailbag Questions and live chat. How do you guys get a question on the Star Wars Canon Podcast? You can email it to me at starwarscanonpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Facebook. I'll even take some from there as well. Or if you're listening on the Anchor app or through anchor.fm, you can send me a message that way, or you can send a voicemail message, I guess you could say. And you never know, you might get to hear yourself on next week's episode. Guys, I've got 5 mailbag questions picked out for this week. All excellent questions. And look, before I get into these questions, if one of these names, and I'm awful sorry to say this, I can't believe I'm saying it, I have no idea how to pronounce this first mailbag questions writer's name. I have no idea. I know him as AAMJ00 from YouTube, and I completely apologize that I cannot pronounce your name. So I'm going to simply say this is AAMJ00 YouTube user sent in this mailbag question. And like I said, man, I am awful sorry about that. I have no idea how to pronounce it. He writes in, "Greetings, Brian. Hope you and the family are doing well. Big fan from Iraq. My question is, what is your favorite moment from each Star Wars medium? May the Force be with you." Thanks for the question, man. And yeah, that's a great question. From each medium, there's so many great moments in everything, though, is the thing. Like, so you've got what? Film, television, comic, novel, and video game, right? Let's go with those 5 main mediums. Favorite film moment. I don't want to be the guy that just simply says that this is going to be his favorite moment of all time. But as of right now, it's my favorite moment of all time. And it's in Rogue One. You already know what I'm going to say. The Vader hallway scene is probably the most brutal thing I've ever seen in Star Wars. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely adore that scene. Mainly because we didn't even see it coming. Well, it was one of those pleasant surprises that they kind of dropped in at the last minute for us, right? And we never saw that scene coming. When I saw Rogue One for the first time, and, you know, the Death Star blast takes out Cassian and Jyn, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, and then it goes to the Mon Cala ship with the Imperial shuttle going to it, I didn't think anything of it, to be completely honest. I was just still blown away by the film so far. And when you hear the footsteps and and they all start panicking, my first thought was they're going to cut away. They're not going to show this. And then it just didn't cut away, and it kept going and going and going. And the more people that died in that scene, the closer my jaw got to the floor. And by the time the tandem is taking off, I couldn't pick my jaw up. It was too far gone. My pulse was just jumping, dude. I drove home that night freaking out. There were times I was screaming at my windshield because of how excited I was at just that Vader scene of him just mowing people down. Because I wasn't doing the podcast yet, the actual podcast itself yet at that time. I was still doing the Star Wars Canon Library and just doing YouTube videos. And on some of those videos, I said, I want to see a scene of Vader mowing guys down. And that's exactly what we got. And it was absolutely awesome. So my favorite scene in film is definitely the Vader hallway scene. What are we going to do next? We'll do novels next. My favorite scene in any novel. Now, this might be a little bit of a spoiler because novels are one of those things where not as many people read the novels as they do as they watch TV shows and the movies. So this might be a little spoilery for anybody that hasn't read this particular novel, and I apologize for that. But the novel's been out for 4 years, and honestly, by now I think it's safe to talk about it. My favorite moment in any novel, it is in the novel Bloodlines by Claudia Gray, which I was just talking about a minute ago. That novel is a political thriller, and it centers around Leia still being a part of the New Republic before she starts the Resistance. And in that novel, she's running for a position called First Senator, which is basically Chancellor without calling it Chancellor. She's running for a position called First Senator. And one of the other senators that's running against her, and they have their own versions of Democrat and Republican in there. And I don't remember what are they populist? No, I don't remember what the actual terms are off the top of my head. But they're opposite parties, and the opposite party against Leia comes across information that Darth Vader was Leia's father. And nobody else in the galaxy knew this. Nobody else ever knew that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker. They preserved Anakin's legacy by not telling anybody that he was Darth Vader. And so the only people that knew it were Han, Luke, and Leia. That's all they basically said in the novel. Those are the only people that knew. And so this senator drops this bomb, doesn't even tell Leia she knows, just goes to the Senate during session and tells the entire galaxy right in front of Leia that Leia is the daughter of Vader. And it's this bombshell, galaxy-altering moment that you see the psyche of Leia and kind of what she's thinking when this is happening and the panic that she's experiencing during while this is happening. And what's crazy about it is, at this point, Luke is already starting the new Jedi Order. He's got Ben as an apprentice. This is 5 years before Force Awakens. And even Ben doesn't know that he's the grandson of Darth Vader. He doesn't even know at this point. So they start running Luke Skywalker's name through the mud and start saying, oh, he's the son of Vader. And everybody starts saying, no, don't bring Skywalker into this. Look at how much he's done for the galaxy. You know what I mean? And Leia's trying to get a hold of Luke to let him know, hey, the word's out. You might want to let Ben know. Don't want Ben hearing it through the HoloNet. And we never get the result of that. We don't know if Ben heard it that way or, if Luke was able to tell him or what. But that is my favorite moment in any of the novels because it's one of those things where as soon as that senator finds out, you're like, oh no, this is not about to happen. And the way Claudia wrote that scene of the reveal to the galaxy and everything that followed was just so perfect. And you can actually feel Leia's emotion and that panic of, oh my God, everybody knows now. What the hell? What am I going to do? You know what I mean? And a lot of people want to put her out of the Senate because of that, because she's the daughter of Darth freaking Vader, right? So absolutely amazing scene. I love it. Let's see here. Let's do television next. My favorite scene in any television show is it's centered around Vader again. It has to be, we got Clone Wars and we got Rebels and Mandalorian now. Those are really the only TV shows we have, and Resistance. I've got to go. Man, there's so much good stuff in Clone Wars, though. Oh my God, there's so much good stuff. I know Rebels isn't as loved as Clone Wars was, but the entire sequence, the entire back and forth of Ahsoka versus Vader was just amazing at the end of season 2, The Twilight of the Apprentice. Absolutely loved that entire scene. And it was something that we knew was going to happen that season, leading all the way up through it, from the teases in the first bit of the episode, teases of the first bit of the season, first couple episodes, leading up to Ahsoka versus Darth freaking Vader. And it was one of those things. They're back and forth, talking, Vader talking about Anakin Skywalker was weak. I destroyed him. And you can see the pain on Ahsoka's face. And when she says, then I will avenge his death. And he says, revenge is not the Jedi way. And she says, I'm no Jedi. Every single time I watch that scene and she activates those lightsabers and then her and Vader go at it, I'm getting chills now just thinking about it. It's my favorite lightsaber duel of all time isn't one you would think. It's actually Luke versus Vader in Return of the Jedi. And the reason I like that duel so much is because of the raw emotion behind it. Especially the end when Vader says, I'm going to turn, if you won't turn to the dark side, perhaps she will, talking about Leia. And Luke loses his proverbial shit and just goes ham on Vader. The emotion in that battle was so freaking palpable. And it goes to say the same thing with Ahsoka versus Vader, especially after you've watched Clone Wars and you see how those two grew. Like I said earlier about Ahsoka, how she grew as a character, how her and Anakin grew close as characters. And to see where they end up like that, it's so gut-wrenching. Absolutely love that scene. It's one of the most iconic things I've ever seen on television. I swear to you, it really is. I love that scene, and basically because we were looking forward to it for so long. And Filoni knew he wanted it, and he gave it to us. And it made sense for the story, too, which is great. Loved it. Let's see here. Let's do comics next. Favorite moment in comics. There's a lot of good moments in the comics. There really are. There's a lot of stuff that deserves to be labeled the best in the comics so far. There's a lot of stuff that is crap too, but there's a lot of good moments in the comics. But honestly, one of my favorite moments in the comics, and it's one that I don't know if a lot of people even remember, to be honest. I know a lot of people want to say Vader down when he says, I'm not surrounded by anything but fear and dead men, which is a great moment. Don't get me wrong. That's an amazing moment. But one of my favorite moments is when